Hey, I'm here. Welcome to my channel. Today I will be reading from the r/malicious compliance. So let's jump into it. My family skipped my housewarming for my sister's car. What happened next broke me. This happened about 20 years ago now. I was 19 at the time and living in a small town in the south of England. I was really excited to buy my first home. It was a 3-bedroom end terrace house that needed some work doing to it, but it was affordable and in a decent area. Unfortunately, most of my family didn't share my excitement. My mum said she had hoped I would wait until I was older and more settled before buying a place. My brother said it was stupid to spend money on bricks and mortar when that money could be invested elsewhere. And my sister said, "Who cares if you own a house? It's not like you're going to have friends round to play with." They all made valid points, and I did feel a bit apprehensive about what I had done. But it was too late now, and I was determined to make a go of it. So I spent most of my savings on the house, and then, the summer before university started, I set about giving it a lick of paint and furnishing it. The day before I moved in, I had a call from my mum who asked me how I was getting on. I told her I was almost done and that I couldn't wait to start showing people around. "Oh, don't bother," she said. "No one's coming. You know, between your brother and sister's weddings, the hen-dos and baby showers, no one has any time right now." I felt my heart sink, but I just replied, "Okay," and hung up the phone. I wasn't sure if I had actually expected them to come, or even wanted them to come after the way they had treated me. I got the keys to the house and moved in. The following week, I began to settle in and decorate. One evening, I got a call from my sister asking if she could borrow some sugar. I told her that I didn't have any, and she said, "Oh, it's fine. I'll pop over later on, and we can grab some from the co-op together." A few hours later, I heard a knock at the door and opened it to find my sister standing there with a big smile on her face. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Of course," I said, confused. She walked in and sat down on the sofa without even acknowledging the mess that was strewn across the floor. "What's all this?" she asked. I told her that I was in the process of decorating, and she replied, "Oh, you should have just left it like this. It's so much nicer than whatever you've got planned." She went on to tell me that she thought the decor was bland and dated, but it was going to look great once I put some pictures on the walls. I explained that these were just the baseboards and that I hadn't even begun painting yet. "You need to brighten this place up, love," she said. "I think some floral wallpaper would look nice. Oh, and definitely get rid of that carpet in the kitchen. We had that when we were growing up and it was awful. No wonder you're single." I told her that I appreciated the advice, but I was going to do things my way. She replied, "Suit yourself," and went out to her car. The next day, I saw my sister walking past with a bucket and a roller, and I called out to her, "If you want to help, you're welcome to join me." She said, "No thanks, I'd rather not get paint on my hands." Later that day, I received a text message from her which read, "How much do you owe Mum and Dad?" I was confused and asked her to clarify, to which she replied, "They helped towards the cost of the house, remember?" I got a call from my dad soon after, who asked me if I knew what my sister was talking about. I told him I didn't, and he replied, "Well, it doesn't matter. Your mum and I are happy to lend you the money." I thanked him, but told him that I didn't need a loan. He sounded disappointed and hung up the phone. A few weeks later, I was dropping some stuff off at my mom's house when I heard voices coming from inside. I stood at the open door and called out, "Hi! Is anyone home?" There was a pause, and then my mom came into the hall and said, "Oh, you scared me. I didn't hear you come in." She looked tired, and I asked her how she was. "I'm fine, just busy," she said. Her eyes were red and puffy, so I asked if she had been crying. She shook her head, turned back to the room she had come from, and called out, "David, your sister's on the phone." My brother came into the hallway and said, "Hi, oh, just leave a message if you're just dropping something off," and he went back to what he was doing. I waited a moment and said, Actually, I was hoping to speak to my sister, but it looks like I'll be doing that another time. As I turned to leave, my mom said, "You can't go yet. Your sister wants to speak to you." I raised an eyebrow at my brother, who shrugged his shoulders and returned to his computer. I went into the kitchen and picked up the phone. My sister was on the other end, and she sounded angry. She said, "Why haven't you paid me back yet?" I was taken aback and said, "Paid you back for what?" She shouted, "For the deposit, you silly cow. Don't play dumb. I trusted you to pay me back so I could buy my dream car. Now I have to hire a crappy Corsa because you wouldn't contribute your half." I replied, "You never paid me back for the time I lent you my Xbox." "Well, I was going to, but I had to buy a new one after you took it to that crap music festival and broke it." "So you think I'm just supposed to give you my money whenever you ask for it, but you won't do the same for me?" "Yeah, that's what I think." She slammed the phone down, and I could hear shouting coming from the other end. I decided to take my custom elsewhere and ordered my sister's dream car online. A week later, my sister called me and asked if she could collect her deposit back so she could pay the garage for the rest of her car. I told her that I wasn't sure I understood, but she explained that she had used my money to pay her deposit, but she hadn't had enough to pay the rest of it. She asked if I could lend her the rest of the money, and I replied, "Don't you think this is funny?" She said, "What do you mean?" I told her I wasn't lending her any more money and that she would have to sort something else out. She screamed at me for a moment before hanging up the phone. The next day I got a call from my mom, who asked me where my sister was. I told her that I didn't know, and she hung up the phone. An hour later I got a call from the police asking if I knew where my sister was because she was reported missing. I told them that I didn't know, but I had had a call from her the previous day. They thanked me for my help and hung up the phone. I didn't hear anything more about it, so I assumed that they had found her. About 6 months later, I was getting ready to move into my new house. I had a call from my dad, who asked if he could come round and see it before I moved in. I said, of course, and he arrived within the hour. He seemed pleased with the way the house looked and said that I had done a good job. He asked if he could take a look at the spare bedrooms, so I let him in. He started looking around and then stopped by the window. "It must be so frustrating having a driveway that small," he said. "Yeah, I know," I replied. "But what do you mean?" He pointed out the window and said, "Well, you could fit 2 cars in here, but there isn't enough space for both yours and hers." I realized that he was talking about my sister's car, and I confirmed this by asking, "You mean the car she never paid for?" Dad looked uncomfortable and said, "Well, yes, but I thought maybe you could buy her a new one as a peace offering." I was speechless and just stared at him. He cleared his throat and said, "Never mind, it was just an idea." I didn't reply, and he left. That weekend, I had a housewarming party and invited all my friends from university. There were so many cars at the house that I ended up parking mine down the street. When I got home, I could see that my neighbors were looking at the cars parked on their drive with envy. I smiled and waved, and they smiled back. "OP, your dad literally suggested you buy your sister a new car as a peace offering. That is crazy." It's also crazy that OP's sister and parents thought that OP was just going to keep giving them money. Also, where the hell was OP's sister staying for those 2 weeks while she was waiting for the car? Did she just live with their parents? And where was she going before that? I have so many questions. Anyway, that is all for me today. I hope you enjoyed that malicious compliance. If you did, please leave a like. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye.